I read 90 books this year, and it's time to officially pick my top 10. What's kind of surprising is that I'm no one-trick pony in 2024 because 5 genres are represented here. Sci-fi, fantasy, historical fiction, thriller, and western. So here were my 10 favorite books of the year. At number 10, Nettle and Bone. And this was the year of T. Kingfisher for me, and along the way I liked this dark fairy tale about a young princess named Mara rescuing her older sister from an abusive prince. To do so, Mara teams up with a witch that can talk to the dead, a fairy godmother, and a knight. This is a fun grown-up fairy tale adventure filled with magic, romance, and strong independent women as the heroes. At number 9, I have The Little Liar. I'm a big fan of Mitch Albom, and his newest book was worth the wait. Set initially in Greece in the 1930s, it's about an 11-year-old Jewish boy named Nico Crispus who's never told a lie. Then he's tricked by a Nazi officer into convincing his neighbors to board cattle cars headed toward a concentration camp. This lie devastates Nico. He's beyond ashamed and soon turns into a pathological liar because of it. As the years tick by in the book, Nico crosses in and out of paths with those involved in his life-altering lie. Albom does a great job of building the story into a crescendo as a handful of storylines collide in an epic finale. Overall, it's a heartbreaking yet joyful story of forgiveness. Number 8 on my list is When Among Crows. I flew through this 166-page novella inspired by Slavic folklore. The main character is Demeter, a monster slayer who's been tasked with finding the legendary witch Baba Yaga. To do so, he enlists the help of one of his monster enemies, a girl named Allah who's carrying a family curse, and Nico, a powerful demon with a mission of his own. It takes place in the gritty Chicago underworld, where demons, banshees, and vampires hobnob with one another. What I like so much about it is that it packs a big punch for such a short book. The character development was effective, the rules of the world kind of gel instantly, and there were splashes of high energy action. Those 3 things combined, that's a winning formula for me. At number 7 on my list was a reread, and that was City of Thieves. And this book was just as good the second time around. It's set shortly after the Nazi siege of St. Petersburg in 1941 and features this impossible mission where 2 young Russian prisoners will be allowed to live if and only if they track down a dozen eggs for a powerful Soviet colonel for his daughter's wedding cake. Of course, the city's in ruins with no eggs to be found anywhere, so the 2 young men, Lev and Kolya, are their names, they're polar opposites. They have to go behind enemy lines together to track down these eggs, and this duo has amazing chemistry with plenty of witty, biting dialogue. It made me laugh, it made me tear up, and I didn't want to put it down. Coming in at number 6 was These Silent Woods. This was the book I read most recently that made it onto the list. It was recommended to me by a couple of family members, and it has this tense, slow burn to it. It's about a man named Cooper and his 8-year-old daughter named Finch, who live away from society in this cabin in the woods because Cooper did something when Finch was a baby that made him need to hide from society. Then a few dominoes fall and Cooper and Finch's isolation becomes more and more difficult to maintain. I won't say more about it, but this book gets you seriously invested in the characters. You're nervous for them and curious about what Cooper is hiding. It's so well done and well written. Definitely made me want to read more thrillers in the coming year. My 5th favorite book of the year was A Closed and Common Orbit. This was book number 2 in the Wayfarer series, but it follows a different thread from the first book. It digs into a couple of the side characters from The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, and I was blown away. This book was amazing. There was a past and present framing in which we follow the tale of Sidra, who's the second iteration of the AI character Lovelace from the first book, who basically gets rebooted, which gives her a new conscience. And she's taken in by Pepper, a genius engineer who's helping Sidra learn the ins and outs of her new body, as well as how to pass herself off as human, because if she's found out to be a computer, if she's found out to be AI, she's in a lot of trouble. But the second and best part of the book dives into Pepper's backstory. It's heartbreaking and unputdownable as Pepper grows from a girl into a woman in this lonely, harsh environment. I won't say more than that other than it's a touching story about humanity and survival. Honestly, you don't need to read the first book in the series to pick this one up. It's not really a continuation. So if this plot sounds more appealing to you than the first one, I say go for it. You won't regret it. At number 4, I have Sunset and Sawdust. I've talked quite a bit about this Western crime thriller this year. It's got this dark, gritty, and violent feel to it, and it's also ridiculously funny at times. So a woman named Sunset becomes constable of her small town and has to solve a gruesome double murder with the help of 2 deputies who are complete opposites in their motivations and personalities. But it's not just a cowboy crime novel. It delves into racism, small town politics, and greed. What makes the book tick is dramatic irony, where the reader knows all that's happening but the characters don't. This POV is so frustrating yet so enjoyable. It's like when you're watching a TV show and you're talking to the characters on the screen trying to get them to realize or do something. Yeah, I really got into this one. Snagging my bronze medal for 2024 was 9 Goblins. This was a cozy, playful, charming novella with quirky characters and a plot that actually moves the story forward with some tension. We first get to know the personalities of each goblin in this lovable gang. Then we go to a battle where an enemy wizard creates this portal, and the 9 goblins accidentally follow him through it, transporting them way behind enemy lines. There they meet this elf who heals and helps fantastical magical animals in his forest, and it's a messy, lonely job. But the goblins and the elf realize that they have to work together to solve this mystery about a small village nearby, and I'll leave it at that. But it's so good because the world building is quick and comprehensive, and you immediately figure out all the layers to all of the characters. Plus the dialogue, which is sharp and laugh out loud funny. Trust me, when the 9 goblins are roaming around together, at any point in the book, you're in for a treat. Getting my silver medal in 2024 is Dragon's Egg. This is another one that I've ranted and raved about ever since I read it. It's a slow, hard sci-fi that covers a vast scale in a quick, efficient way. You get to see the rapid evolution of these aliens called Sheila, who are the size of mustard seeds and live at like 1,000 times the speed of humans. And you witness how human astronauts play a role in the growth of Chila civilization. The novel alternates between the Chila and the human astronauts, creating this fascinating relationship between the 2 species. It reminded me a bit of the Bobaverse in that way, because there's a segment in those books that kind of deals into following aliens and seeing their growth, seeing them gain intelligence. But this happens in Dragon's Egg at a lightning fast clip. I can't recommend this one enough to fans of hard sci-fi or sci-fi newbies who just want to kind of test the limits of their sci-fi love. And getting the gold medal, coming in at number 1 for my rankings of the 2024 books that I read, all 90 of them. First place goes to The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I read this book way back in January and it's stuck with me ever since. It's about a fun crew of characters on a wormhole tunneling spaceship during an extra lucrative but extra dangerous job. This able but odd crew give off Firefly or Star Trek vibes, and the author, Becky Chambers, manages to make you care about 8 characters all at once, in part because they all have some interesting social, emotional, or psychological thing happening. And some people think this book is just too cozy to be a great sci-fi book, but honestly, this is a crew I just love to be a part of. Each member has something to contribute, skill-wise, personality-wise, and drama-wise. And I gave it bonus points because the ending made me tear up. I won't say if they were happy or sad tears, but there were a powerful last few chapters. There you have it, my top 10 books of the year. Let me know if you've read any of these, if you liked them, if you hated them, something in between. Reading is subjective, so all opinions are welcome. Just don't forget to like and subscribe for more novel advice. See you in 2025, and until then, happy reading.